Let's start with Phil LeBeau with CNBC. Phil.
Thank you. I have one quick question for each of you. Dave, first for you. How confident are you that this is the beginning of what you expect to see with more 737 MAX orders, given the fact that you've got about 450 cancellations year to date on the MAX? And for you, Michael, you famously called out Boeing more than a year ago and said they need to get their you-know-what together when it comes to the MAX. When did everything change in your mind in terms of believing they had gotten it together and you wanted to strengthen the partnership?
Well, let me start. Phil, appreciate the question. As we've discussed on many occasions, I've always had faith that the order books would begin to fill with the return of the industry. This vaccine came along a little faster than I think most people thought, which means that our timeline with respect to recovery is probably a little more aggressive today than it was when we postured almost 9 months ago or 8 months ago that it would take 3 to 5 years. So I am confident that this is the beginning of a fulfillment of a more robust order book, more coming in than going out. But as is always the case, I believe it'll be the strongest of the airlines, those who are most confident and well-positioned for the future, that will lead that change in order outlook. So anyway, I think this is indicative, incredibly pleased that Michael and Ryanair have led this. And yes, I'm confident.
Yeah, and for my part, Phil, thanks for the question. I think it changed, with the new management team came on board. Stan and myself visited with Dave, Stan and Greg Smith in Chicago back in January, even pre-COVID. And you got a sense there was a new sheriff in town. Dave and the team were determined to get the regulatory issues out of the way. I think that's been critical. I think there was a changed approach to the way they approached the FAA, the EASA, and the other regulators. As I said, I want to pay tribute to Steve Dixon and the FAA, to Patrick Key and EASA. They've done remarkable work on that. It's been complicated all year by the COVID virus and the wreckage that it has wrought on the air travel industry. But, we got to look forward with great confidence. Vaccines are coming in the first quarter of next year. There is going to be a very strong recovery here. And we need more aircraft in Ryanair if we're going to lead that recovery in Europe. And I have absolutely no doubt. We signed the first of these game-changer orders in 2014. I have been waiting for this aircraft now for 5 years. It brings me more seats. It burns less fuel. It has less emissions. Our customers are going to love this aircraft. And it's going to create an environment, I think, where Ryanair will be able to grow strongly in Europe for the next 5 years using these Boeing aircraft.
Its own cargo.
And I couldn't be more excited for the future. I think we're going to see a very strong rebound in Boeing, in Ryanair, in our industry, and especially in Europe.
All right, thank you. Let's see, for our next question on the line, Claire Bushy from the Financial Times. Claire, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. I wanted to ask to Michael, how much of a discount did you receive on these planes?
Not enough. Very small. I mean, one of the things we've discovered in dealing with Calhoun and Stan Deal is it's tough. What we put into the press release today is correct. We've agreed some modest compensation with Boeing for the losses and costs we've suffered over the last 18 months as a result of the delivery delays. Frankly, we weren't that worried about the quantum of money. It was much more, though, about what we've agreed is a modest discount on the fleet. I am sorry to say it's a very modest discount on the fleet, but we look to the upside of these aircraft, and that is the economic performance of these aircraft. We already have the lowest unit costs of any airline in Europe, and these aircraft with more seats, less fuel, at 16% less fuel consumption, are going to transform our economics for the next 5-10 years in Europe. It's going to allow us to lower what are already Europe's lowest airfares. So, my only complaint today is I think the discount should have been bigger. I'm sure Dave thinks the discount should have been smaller, but it's modest. Yep. Because I think this is such a great aircraft. Let's look to the future and let's look what this aircraft will do for our customers and for our business and to get people back to work in Europe.
All right, thank you. For our next question, Eric Johnson of Reuters. Eric, please go ahead.
Eric, off mute.
Yes,
Eric, have you? There you go.
All
We hear
right,
you.
thank you guys. Quick questions for Boeing and Ryanair. To Boeing, are you concerned that you will have to cut prices for the MAX so much that it will impact the economics of the program as you launch the plane? Related to that, will you also pay for the EU tariffs, as Ryanair has said you will? And then for Ryanair's chief pilot, what do you say to your passengers who may still be concerned about the plane safety?
So I'll start. Yeah, no, I'm not concerned about price discounts as incentives to move airplanes. It will require patience on the part of Boeing, which we have. We control most of that discussion in the sense that it is our airplane that we're moving in the marketplace. The performance of the airplane relative to the airplanes it replaces and or the airlines it replaces, that will speak to the economics of the airplane and ultimately the economics for Boeing. And we're confident in that. The second major factor on that subject is, do you believe in a recovery, and therefore can you stay patient? And the answer from our vantage point is yes, we believe strongly in a recovery, and then therefore we will stay patient. So we don't feel a need to discount our way into the marketplace. And with respect to tariffs, I read this morning, and I have been apprised of dialogue between the United States and Europe, and I still believe a constructive solution will come about. And so we're going to just stick to that course and allow for both organizations to get to an answer that is good for the aviation industry.
And can I just say before I ask Ray to comment on the safety, just from our point of view too, I think it's important. You know, the discounts we're receiving are not going to alter the economics of this aircraft for Boeing. It's a great aircraft. Boeing are going to, this is, the 737 has been the backbone of Boeing's profitability for many years. Boeing have a backlog of aircraft that are going to get delivered, and they're going to ramp up production. And this is not going to be the first of these announcements. We're already in dialogue with Dave and Stan on the MAX 10. We're not quite there yet on that, but there's more discussions to take place. Like Boeing, everybody in Europe wants to see the end to the tariff wars as well. Whether you're an Airbus customer or a Boeing customer, it's absolutely critical to all of our customers that there are no tariffs applied to aircraft, whether they're made in Europe or they're made in the US. The way we recover tourism from COVID-19 is going to be with low fares and get people moving again, and that needs tariff-free aircraft. And we're hopeful. Now that we have an Irish guy in the shortly in the White House, as usual, the Irish will arrive in and we will pour oil on troubled waters. Peace and harmony will reign between the US and Europe, and we'll look forward to taking more and more great Boeing aircraft. Ray.
Have done here. There is no doubt that it is a safe aircraft, but there's one thing saying that, and in order to say that, I think we need the facts, and those facts must be supported by data, and I think we have that data now. All of the safety recommendations made by Boeing have now been implemented. They've been approved by the FAA. In addition to the FAA, the aircraft has also been subject to scrutiny by the Brazilian authorities, by Transport Canada, and from my own point of view, from EASA. And that EASA scrutiny has taken every part of that aircraft, all of the safety critical systems, in addition to the flight control systems. Anything that could potentially impact on the safety of that airplane was subject to a root and branch review. They had over 20 aircraft specialists involved. 15,000 of hours of work went into that. The work extended to the flight control of the aircraft, its manoeuvrability, its stability. They looked at the flight displays, flight controls, cockpit alerting, and also as well they looked at the human factor as well, how the pilot interacts with system malfunctions that occur on the aircraft, and that was all taken into account into the development of new procedures and to ensure that those procedures can be put in place on the line. And I'm absolutely confident. I have flown this aircraft. I've flown the simulator many times now. I've flown it with the latest software. It's 12.1.2 software in one of our new simulators. And I can say that this aircraft does exactly what it says on the tin. It is an amazing aircraft. For me, one of probably the biggest takeaways for me when I leave the simulator is how close it is to the NG. And we have 21 years experience in the NG. And what it will do for us is we take that experience now and all the safety policies and procedures that have given us our incredible safety record over the last 21 years of NG operation and transfer that directly into the MAX. And of course, it will allow our crews operate between both types without any formality once they've completed the training. So absolutely an incredibly safe airplane. And also, of course, we really look forward to the economic benefits this will bring to the Ryanair low fares model. So a fantastic day for Ryanair. Thank you.
Well, great. Thank you, Captain. Our next question comes from the line of Julie Johnson of Bloomberg. Julie, please go ahead.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning, Julie.
Dave, you talked about the hellish year for Boeing, and now that you're almost on the other side of it and the recovery is in process, just wondering if you could tell us a little bit about the company that you see emerging from cuts and changes, and how important the MAX is.
I'm very proud of this difficult year because everybody in the Boeing culture lifted their heads, recognized the difficulties that we were in, responded in the most constructive way I can imagine. And there will be silver linings that come as a result of it. We have, in fact, and I'll re-say it many, many, many times, we will never forget the accidents that put us in the place that we were, ever. We have reinstilled, reinvigorated, use any word you like, everything that has anything to do with safety across our company. We all feel it. We understand it. Recommitting to it is part of our culture, and reinventing processes to make sure that something like this never happens again. That's what we've been at. So I am highly confident in all of that. I am also confident that the cuts we've made have been intelligent cuts. There are always silver linings in these kinds of moments where you can take steps to reevaluate the way you do your work, do things faster, better, smarter, take into account changes in the market that are occurring before our eyes. So I think we come out of here leaner, faster, smarter, better, most importantly, safer.
Here.
All right. For our next question, we'll go to the Associated Press and Dave Koenig. Dave, please go ahead. Dave, you still with us? I think your line's breaking up just a bit. All right, let us circle back to Dave as you clear out your line. For our next question, we'll go to The Guardian and Gwyn Topham. Gwyn, please go ahead.
Gwyn, go ahead. We can't hear you. Let's go to the next one.
All right, let's see. How about, Flight Global, John Hemmerdinger. John, please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. My question is whether or not you think that this order for additional aircraft might be able to allow Boeing to accelerate deliveries next year of the MAX. Last I heard, you had expected to deliver about half those 450 737 MAXs in storage within about 1 year after the certification.
Well, from our viewpoint, it gives us momentum. This order gives us momentum going into the year. We have 27 of Michael's airplanes built. We've got 13 in flow. As Michael said, we're planning to draft behind EASA's work. EASA's in mid-course to approve the airplane. And then in the spring, we hope to begin delivery. Right now, you may have seen we've turned the motor on the delivery process. We've pushed into first gear this year. This week we got one aircraft ticketed by the FAA, and you saw that announcement. Since then, we've had several more ticketed, and customers are starting to show up. So I think this, the way I'd characterize it, this order builds momentum going into next year. We'll certainly see some adjustments that we have to continue to work with each customer and match supply to demand as this market recovers.
All right, thanks, Dan. For our next question, we'll go to Ben Matzabal at the Points Guy. Ben, please go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Two questions, one for Ryanair, one for Boeing. So the first would be for Ryanair. I know you're referring to the MAX now as the 737-800, both in Michael's comments this morning and the new paint jobs we've seen. Talk a little bit about what that means, about how you are marketing, positioning the jet relative to your customers. And for Boeing, just a real simple question. How important is this optics-wise for shot in the arm to secure a new order now that the plane has been reserved?
Okay, well, if I can take the Ryanair question. Look, we're not going to try to downplay. We're very proud of this aircraft. I don't care whether they call it the Boeing MAX, they call it the Boeing 737-800. We call it the game changer, what you call it. What I know is our customers are going to love flying on this plane. The plane is fantastic. The interiors are brilliant. They're going to love our prices. Our confidence in this aircraft is such. Okay, next summer we'll have maybe 25, 30 of these aircraft in operation out of a fleet of about 480 aircraft. Will we be able to tell our customers weeks in advance which plane they're flying on? No. But certainly for the first 3, 4, 6 months, any customer who's getting on a MAX aircraft that doesn't want to fly in that MAX aircraft, we'll say that's fine, no problem. You can wait and go on the next NG aircraft. We'll let people offload if you want. I don't think there'll be very many. In fact, there won't be, because this is a great aircraft. We're very confident in it. We think it's a brilliant aircraft, and we're sure our customers will